So it should be bedtime, but I'm going to make it history time. Um, this video will tell you a little bit more about the English Reformation, and you should add to your notes and fix anything that might be incorrect and write in information that will help you better understand the topic. So, a key thing about the English Reformation is that it's not strongly related to religion, in that it mainly happens because Henry needs an annulment or wants an annulment from his first wife, and the Pope won't give it to him. And also politically, he doesn't want to share power and wealth with the Catholic Church. So the interesting thing, I think, is that he didn't support Luther's rebelling against the church. And eventually, though, that changes because he wants a male heir. And if you look in this fact down here, if you look at this fact in here, number one, I noticed that a lot of people didn't have what I've underlined and read on their papers. It may be helpful to write that down. Anyway, Henry's hoping for a male heir with his first wife, Catherine of Aragon, who was the daughter of Ferdinand and Isabella of the Reconquista in Spain. No son with Catherine, so he wants to marry someone else. He falls in love with this woman, Anne Boleyn. For some reason, he thinks she's the one to have the son, and he needs to get out of his current marriage. So he needs an annulment because there's no divorce in the Catholic Church, and popes had done it in the past, but this time, not going to happen. Pope did not want to offend Catherine's nephew, who was the Holy Roman Emperor. So you can see that the family ties here influenced the Pope's decision, and he chose not to annul the marriage. So Henry was not too pleased with that outcome, and he needed to take matters into his own hands. So he does that, and he has Parliament put the Church of England under Henry's control, and a little bit more about that will be on page 2. And so now he's in charge. He's in charge of the Church of England, and that's what he wants. He's able to get an annulment from Thomas Cranmer, who's the Archbishop of the new church, and he's able to marry his second wife, Anne Boleyn. They have a daughter. Oh, Henry didn't get that son. They have a daughter, Elizabeth. Okay, so she ends up being a very strong monarch, but not quite what Henry wanted just yet. And before I move on to the next page, I have 2 Scooby-Doo characters, just to be random. I don't know this guy's name. I never really watched Scooby-Doo. I know this is Scooby-Doo. My son got these for his birthday. Anyway, if you're good with page 1, flip the page to page 2. Oh, here is a family tree. We're not going to get into every little part of it, but you have here first wife, Catherine. Then we have their daughter, Mary. Second wife, Anne Boleyn. Their daughter, Elizabeth. Henry's third wife, Jane Seymour, is going to be the one who has the son, Edward the 6th. So, and then there's about all these other people, but we're not really going to get into them right now. I only have 10 minutes for this video. All right, so page 2, we have the Act of Supremacy. This is very important, 1534. I don't care so much about the date. I just mention it because that's when all this is happening in the 1500s. So this is what makes Henry the supreme head of the Church of England. He is in charge of the Church of England. This is what Parliament passes to make him in charge of the church. You Catholics who didn't accept it, or didn't accept him as the monarch, him as in charge of the church, could be executed for treason. So, then we have his wives, and I listed oldest to youngest. They don't rule in that order, of course, but that's oldest to youngest. All right, so once the Act of Supremacy is passed, Henry has officials investigate Catholic convents and monasteries. Convents are where nuns train, and monasteries are where monks train. And they're closed because they're centers. That's what this is supposed to be. Centers, an abbreviation. You probably think it doesn't look like that. I can see why you would think that. Anyway, centers of immorality. Immorality is like people aren't doing the right thing and they're doing the wrong thing and they're being immoral. Anyway, and Henry has the lands and wealth of convents and monasteries seized. That's going to make England richer, right? I should have some fake money with me. And all this land is given to nobles and other important citizens to give them more wealth. Even though they have a lot already, they're going to get more. So Henry dies. Oh, not yet. The new church is called the Anglican Church. It is considered a branch of Protestantism. However, Henry does not change a lot from the way Catholics did Mass and practice religion. It's still fairly similar to Catholicism, but it's considered a Protestant church. All right, now Henry's going to die. And his son becomes king at 9 years old because he's the boy. He's the youngest, but he's the boy, so he gets to be king first. And he has Protestant advisors that passed laws to make England a strong Protestant nation. Here's all the info all together. And so that's the key thing about Edward. And for this page, before I move on, my random item is this snowman ornament that really needs to get put with the other Christmas ornaments, considering it's April, but I keep forgetting to do it. All right. So Edward, Protestant, he rules for about 6 years. He dies when he's 15 of tuberculosis. Oh, so here's Edward. He was monarch first. Here's Thomas Cranmer. And I just wanted to show you pictures so you could put faces to the names on the paper. And so here's some more faces and names. Monarch number 2 is Mary. Hopefully this picture will make sense when I go to page 3, if you don't know why it's there already. Monarch 3 is Elizabeth. And she is Mary's half-sister. Edward's half-sister also. They all have different moms, so they're half-siblings. All right, Mary Tudor. She swings England back to being Catholic. And this is confusing for people because the religion keeps changing and it's just kind of a mess. And D is important because she's kind of harsh with the Protestants and they don't get a chance to recant and take back their views if they're accused of going against Catholicism. So about 300 of them got killed. And, that bothered people because they weren't given a chance to take back their views. All right, I have no idea how much time I have left. I'm going to keep moving. 25, when Elizabeth becomes queen, she created reforms known as the Elizabethan settlement, and she compromises a lot between Protestant and Catholic practices. So that's significant. What else was I going to say about her? I can't remember. That's why I shouldn't be doing this at 10 something at night. All right. We got that. We got using English, not Latin, in church services so more people can understand because it's the language of the people. I will say before I go into the last part, the order of the monarchs is Edward, Mary, Elizabeth, EME, and the religions favored during each monarch's time, PCP. So there's a little pattern there. All right, lastly, Elizabeth made compromises. She ended confusion amongst the people with religion, and that was good. She ruled for a long time, 45 years, unites England, and was known as a really strong monarch. And that's all I can really think to say, except where's my random item for this page, flossers. Do you get these for free when you go to the dentist? You should floss your teeth too if you don't already. All right. So I hope you got everything you needed. If not, there's always going back to earlier in the video. But that's all I have to say, except have a good day. And remember, today will be tomorrow's history. Thank you, Tyler, from my 2015-16 8th graders for suggesting that ending line. All right. I know. It's going to